to get onto that. And we're gonna, actually, I would like to start the questioning with the three of you and give you a chance to ask a question of your fellow presenters here first, and then we're gonna open it up to the audience and Twitter.
I did have a question for you while you're going, but now we'll
I'll start with a question for you, Ryan. It's just I've been interested in the railroad concept since I heard about that earlier this year. I guess there's a nagging question in the back of my head, and probably not knowing exactly the ins and outs of how you track stuff. It seems like, you know, the simplistic conclusion is, wow, we should try for a railroad pass on every play, and obviously teams don't, because it's really hard to pull it off. And if you were trying to do it on every play, the play would get broken up, and I'm not sure that that's getting captured in your stats. So let's say a team, actually the coach said every time on every play you've got to do a railroad pass, and they'd end up with a majority of their plays broken up. Do you capture that in your stats? I mean, that's part of what's in this equation is, okay, you want to get that. I mean, if you're able to pull that off, you've got a great percentage. But how often can you pull it off?
Well, yeah, and the reason, or what we do is any pass sent over it, that then the end result is then a legitimate attempt to shoot from that player. So a lot of times, yeah, they'll send the puck across, gets broken up, it's deflected off a stick, it's broken up. That's something we don't capture. So, you know, if you wanted to go and focus on, okay, where are the situations where we do get that chance, and focus on those rather than, you know, it's simply, you know, it's a riskier play, yes, but that shouldn't mean that, you know, we don't try to find out in what situations it's successful and look at what made it successful and try to repeat those.
And I think I can actually add a little bit of extra thing to that question, because, you know, it comes back to what coaches and, you know, management refer to as risk management. So, you know, you can't always attempt a railroad pass because, once again, you get broken up a lot. You can't always attempt a controlled entry because, you know, maybe you lose a puck, goes the other way. Maybe you can't always, you know, try for a controlled exit because you'll get picked off. It's too risky of a play. So having the numbers really helps us find, you know, what is just enough and what is too much and what's not enough. And like over the course of the season, against certain teams which were maybe a little bit stronger, I could see in our data that, you know, certain of our defensemen, you know, they were changing the way they were playing the game because they're managing their risk. Right? Maybe they're trying for less controlled exits, less controlled entries, but, you know, it's kind of, when you're on the ice, you have these split-second decisions and you're making a trade-off on, you know, can I make the right play here? And if not, then maybe there's something else I can do. So, you know, you're trying to flex and not break, because if you break, then it goes back the other way, and, you know, you're benched, right? So, you know, you might have a player like Teravainen, you know, maybe he's being too aggressive, or maybe he's just really good. So it's about quantifying that and finding, like, is he trying for too much, or, you know, it's okay.
Yeah, Timo, I had a quick question for you on the when you presented your defensemen. You had, you know, L1, R1. I'm assuming those were the pairings, the first pairing, the second pairing, third pairing. You had like left to right, 1, 2, 3.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't have a question. Sorry. No, it's okay. That's why I needed to ask the clarifying question first.
I had a quick question for the two of you, and that is, what are some of, I know this is kind of a more generic question, but I think the concept of working analytics at the college level is really fascinating. And so I'm curious to know, and I know this question was asked on Twitter as well, are there some hidden benefits to working analytics at like a college level versus kind of using the, you know, obviously we have the loads of data that's coming out of the NHL system, but is there some sort of hidden benefit working at the college level versus the NHL data? And what's some of the challenges there you might have with the coaches?
Well, generally speaking, at the college level, you have a lot less.
Okay, well, so generally speaking, at the college level, there's a lot less turnover in coaches. And I don't think anywhere else in the world, maybe outside of the NHL, where I can work with a coach who's got, a bunch of national titles, 3 Olympic gold medals, and who's been with the same team for almost 20 years. So I think that's a great opportunity, because at the NHL level, if you get hired to be an analyst and then the coach gets fired, or the general manager gets fired, you're kind of screwed, because all the people who trust you are gone. So you have to rebuild those links and re-justify everything that you do, and it's not easy. If you can't deliver results within a 6 to 18 month period of time, then that's it. Whereas at the college level, I think there's a lot more patience, and you develop your own players. You can't trade players. You can't really sign free agents unless you're talking about transfer, which rarely happens. So there's a lot more stability. There's a lot more room to develop in-house, which I think is a great thing.
I'm not sure I'm directly answering this question, but I think just from my own experience, and also from folks that I've heard about in the analytics community, I think coaches in a lot of leagues are becoming more open-minded about analytics and wanting to learn more. Not just coaches, but other people in hockey. I know a friend of mine, for instance, who's works with an AHL team, and where the coach is very interested in learning about the analytics there. So, I think, and I think originally, when I started thinking about analytics, you're thinking about what do the general managers think? They're going to want help with figuring out who to trade for. But I think you see more and more coaches on all levels that are interested to find out what kind of edges they can get.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open it up to the audience here. Okay.
Hey, so a couple of questions about sample sizes. Ryan, when you were talking about the Tays versus Backstrom thing there, can you give us an idea of the sample size, how many passes does that actually correspond to? And do you have any idea what the error is associated with those numbers?
Well, the sample size, when we spoke in early January, we talked about putting uploading the data and trying to get the analysis. So for the Tays Backstrom example, that would represent Blackhawks Capitals games from early January through, I believe, to the end of February. We picked up an odd couple of games at the beginning of the season as well.
So how many passes per game, for example, for Tays?
We don't
roughly.
Passes. I mean, I would have to look at that. I don't have that offhand.
Sure.
It's not something I'd have for here.
Ryan, this question's for you. On your R-squared charts, it looked like there was one guy who was at 0% on all of them. Is that Tanner Glass by any chance?
It might be. I'd have to go back and look at that, but probably not a bad guess.
Jack, so I noticed that you guys suppress shots very well, the team.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
You guys suppress shots very well. You allowed 16, but you were allowing a lot of goals. Was that a relation of the shots that were created, or is that just not having as good of a goalie as you would have helped out in that?
That's something that I'm going to look at this summer. So I have all of our shot attempts for and against on video. I'm going to look at that one by one, which is going to be a lot of work. And at the same time, all 3 of our goalies are going to be working very, very hard in their off season. So we're going to come back next season. We're all going to be better. And hopefully we're going to be not third from the bottom in terms of the league standing, but we're going to be closer to third from the top. That's the plan.
It's getting around lunchtime, so we're actually going to go ahead and end this session now. These 3 presenters will be available downstairs, though, for the next 15 minutes. So please don't think that your question is not going to go unanswered. They will be there. Please go downstairs. It's 2 levels down where the food was during the earlier breakout session. And we will see you back here after lunch. Thank you so much.